Please introduce yourself, David, Reuters.
Yes, David Brunstrom from Reuters. This bombing campaign's been going on since March the 31st. We're several months into it. Each day, NATO is announcing that it's destroying Gaddafi's military equipment. Can we ask you once again for an estimate as to how much progress has been made? There still seems to be a lot of targets that you're hitting. Do you have an estimate of the strength of his forces? And at this stage, do you see it, if the violence goes on, that it will be necessary to extend the mandate beyond the end of September?
I will first answer a few elements of the question from David and then hand over to you. From our point of view here, what really matters is the overall effect of the campaign. So it's not to speak about percentages, but the overall effect of what we have achieved. And every day we are saving lives of Libyan people, which is what really matters. And this is the mandate that has been given to us by the United Nations. On the possible extension of the mandate, what I can tell you is that NATO's campaign, NATO's mission will continue as long as it takes. So that's where we are. Roland, for you.
Carmen, you perfectly made the point. The measure of our success here is to prevent attack against civilians, and this is exactly what we are doing, and we're seeing the effect on it every day where we operate. One key element also is the fact that we are depleting the regime's capabilities. And yes, this takes time, but after more than 17,000 sorties, we have significantly depleted Gaddafi's forces. Of course, we're not into a science here in terms of percentage of attrition, but basically we are significantly reducing his ability to conduct attacks against civilians.
Next question is a follow-up question. Okay, David, then.
Just to follow up, is NATO completely confident that the arms embargo is completely effective? My understanding from a trip that we made down into the south was that you don't have complete aerial surveillance of Libya, so large swathes of the south of the country are actually not really covered by arms embargo capabilities. Are you confident there are no more arms coming into Libya to resupply Gaddafi's forces?
I could take this one. We could never guarantee totally tight enforcement of an embargo. And of course, realistically, we don't have boots on the ground. What we have, however, is what I believe to be an effective mechanism that basically enforce the spirit of the UN resolution. I'm not aware of any major issues with the embargo, but of course it will be totally unrealistic to expect a 100% tight embargo over a territory of a country as large as Libya.
Now we can go to Brooks.
Yes, Brooks Signer, Jane's Defense. I had a different question about recent bombings. I mean, on Saturday, NATO said it bombed this television station for propaganda reasons. I mean, I'm trying to understand how that represented a direct threat. I mean, no matter how hateful the how hatefully someone may try to incite the population to violence, that's not a direct physical threat or a direct physical attack against the people. So under what legal grounds did NATO choose to bomb that television station? Thank you.
Very much for the request for clarification on that. The three satellite transmission dishes that we hit The specific attack was justified on the principle that the Libyan television was clearly used not only to disseminate message of propaganda or hatred, but specifically used to incite acts of violence. You may have heard or seen report of several speeches that were basically increasing in both frequency and intensities, which were clearly calling for conducting acts of violences against the population in Libya. This was, in a sense, the trigger for our attack on these dishes. So
Thierry?
essentially, protecting
Okay,
civilian
well,
lives,
first
right?
we'll go to AP
So we
as a
do
follow-up,
believe
and then we move
that
to Naples.
by creating an
Colonel,
attrition of these
would you say in that case that the UN Security Council mandate justifies your attacks on television stations?
I missed the beginning of the question because of time delay, but if I understand well, you are asking if the UN resolution mandate justified the attack on the state television, and if this is the question, the answer is yes. Because our mandate is a mandate of protecting lives, and from the moment that a tool, would it be a weapon or a broadcast capability or an antenna, but from the moment that such a tool is used to incite an attack or to incite a crime or the murder of civilians, we do believe that we have to protect the civilians and basically act on that target.
I would like to reinforce what Roland has said in the sense that all NATO strikes are against legitimate targets in full respect of the United Nations Security Council mandate and this one as well, and that we also consider that incitement of violence is a threat to the population, so NATO needed to act in this case. Now we are going to move to Naples. Roland, are there any questions there, please?
No, we have no questions here. We lost connectivity, however, so I don't know if we fully answered the last question that was asked from Brussels.
Okay, then in that case, we will go to Belga first. Gérard?
Oui, Gérard Gaudin de l'agence Belga. Je voulais vous demander si l'arrivée des, je pense, 4 tornados supplémentaires britanniques compense, à la fois numériquement et en termes de capacité, le retrait norvégien.
Merci pour votre question. D'ailleurs, c'est une question qui illustre tout à fait la dynamique dans laquelle nous opérons, c'est-à-dire que nous avons eu les Norvégiens qui ont travaillé avec nous pendant 3 mois, plus une période d'extension de 30 jours, donc en tout 4 mois au sein de la force avec leur F-16. Ils ont fait une contribution absolument phénoménale, d'autant plus si on considère la population du pays. Donc, c'est une contribution absolument exceptionnelle et qui a été grandement appréciée. On parle ici de 596 missions. Donc, c'est énorme. Et effectivement, avec le temps, certaines ressources sont renouvelées. Et alors que les Norvégiens doivent maintenant consacrer leurs ressources au rôle qu'ils ont dans leur pays avec leurs forces aériennes, nous pouvons compter sur un nombre équivalent, donc 4 tornados britanniques. Sachez que globalement, ce n'est pas une question de remplacer appareil pour appareil, sachant que la force globalement compte sur environ 250 appareils qui sont sous le commandement de Unified Protector. Donc, les ressources que nous obtenons sont utilisées au meilleur de leur capacité.
Thierry?
A technical question on the strike on Libyan TV. Just immediately after a press release came out in your name saying the TV station had been silenced, there were reports from Tripoli that it was still on the air. And in fact, today, Saif al-Gaddafi has also been seen speaking on Libyan TV saying that even if NATO considers its operations finished, they will continue to fight, his side will continue to fight against the rebels. And also, if I could just ask you to repeat a bit in English about the Norwegian contingent and the loss of the Norwegian jets, if you think that will affect the operation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What I said about the end of the mission of the Norwegians is, but first I wanted to stress the extraordinary work that they have done. They were with us for an initial mandate of 90 days. That mandate has been extended, so they were with us for 4 months. They did a fantastic job. They conducted a total of 596 missions, making a significant contribution to our mission, especially if we consider the size of the Norwegian Air Force. So as we see in the military, bravo Zulu to our Norwegian friends, excellent. And then I was basically asked if the additional UK contribution was basically to replace essentially the Norwegian contribution. And what I said was that overall we have about 250 aircraft under the command of a unified protector. And this regularly our resources are renewed. So some go and some come back, but essentially this allows us to constantly generate and regenerate our capabilities and give the commander all the flexibility he needs to conduct his missions. We are grateful for the great work that is being done in Brussels to do the liaison with the countries and solicit on our behalf the resources we need to do the mission. And we are quite satisfied with the situation. As I mentioned last week, however, I never met a commander who does not ask for more resources. So certainly we're always happy to have additional contributions. On the television dishes strike, I'm not sure exactly what angle or what aspect you would like me to elaborate on. Could you be a bit more precise, please?
Well, you said that you had silenced Libyan TV because of these hateful broadcasts you considered as threats to civilians, but in fact you didn't. What was the effect of these strikes?
Okay. Thank you. There were several orders of effect. One immediate effect was certainly the destruction of these satellite dishes. They were destroyed using state-of-the-art air launch missiles. The mission was perfectly conducted. We don't normally comment on the nation doing that, but our British friends have acknowledged that they were conducting the mission. I could tell you that I saw the video of it, and basically this was perfectly executed. And from the air view we had of the strike, there was no visual damage to the building that was just beside. Keeping in mind that the dishes were on ground, so they were not on a building. So this was relatively an easy target, especially at that time of the night when there was nobody around. So first order of effect is the fact that we have degraded the television satellite broadcast capability. Of course, we are fully realistic and aware that this strike by itself did not and will not remove the ability of the Gaddafi regime to use television as a weapon or as a means to incite attacks. We are in the process of assessing the situation, and I'm not in a position to speculate on future operations, unfortunately, but as required, we will continue to target any threats we could identify against the civilian population. Another order of effect, of course, is a clear message that NATO will act against weaponry, conventional weaponry, but also against means that are used by the regime to trigger either threats or attacks against the civilian population. I believe that the message was delivered quite clearly.
Let's now move to BBC.
Hi, Matt Cole, BBC. Can you share your thoughts on the impact of General Eunice's killing on Thursday? Have you fears this is indicating growing divisions amongst the rebel forces? And what thoughts do you have about what this could mean for stability in Libya once NATO's mission concludes, presuming it does?
Roland, I will take that question, and well, I can tell you that it's not for NATO to comment on the state of the rebel forces, or neither on the death of General Eunice, since our mandate, NATO's mandate, is to protect civilians. What we think is here key for the Libyan people is to see an orderly transition to democracy once Gaddafi leaves power. And in that context, for us, what is important is the Transitional National Council has a great responsibility for the present and for the future of Libya, and we expect them to continue to act as a responsible actor and to help a true democracy to develop in Libya. So basically, we count on the TNC to live up to the expectations of the international community. I can also remind you what the Libya Contact Group stated on July 15th, the last time they met. The participants agreed that to deal with the Transitional National Council as the legitimate representatives of the Libyan people, and the group also welcomed the role of the TNC in leading the transition towards democracy. So this is our position on that issue. Now we go to AP. Slovo again.
Just on this issue of sending the reserve battalion to Kosovo, you said they're simply relief forces. Do you know how long they will remain in Kosovo?
Well, that's something that only our commander on the ground can say, so we cannot determine right now for how long they will stay. I can confirm, as you were saying, that the activation order for the use of the KFOR operational reserve was issued today, and the order was given by the commander of our Allied Joint Force Command Naples at the request of our commander in Kosovo. The reason for the deployment, as you rightly said, is to relieve actually the forces currently on the ground. So this deployment should not be seen as a sign of escalation. The contrary, the situation, as you know, has calmed down. The situation is actually de-escalating, and this is a pure tactical decision to be on the safe side. At the same time, since I have seen many media reports, I would like to stress that NATO is not taking sides in this crisis, and that we remain neutral as a neutral actor, providing a safe and secure environment as mandated to KFOR to NATO by the UN Security Council Resolution 1244. Yes, Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks Signer Janes. I have to come back again to this bombing of a TV station. I find this very unusual. So I want to ask you two questions. Was your strike based purely on a subjective decision that this was a hateful or insightful language that was used, meaning you were looking for keywords such as kill, murder, or attack? And second question, did Naples establish any cause and effect of these hate speeches before it decided to strike? Thank you.
Essentially, the decision to strike, and the same rationale applies to any weapons or any means to harm the civilian population. The key element is the fact that there were some explicit incitations to conduct acts of violence. So basically, this was the essential. Of course, we're aware of the broad utilization of the television by the Gaddafi regime, and there's a lot of comments that have been made that are either improper or that could be outraging. But the key element is basically that television was used as a mean to trigger acts of violence. And we would have the same logic when we have to engage a target, because we see that, let's say, a multiple rocket launcher is being used to threaten civilian or to attack them. So this is purely a military logic, not something based on semantics or subjectivity. I'm not sure if I'm fully responding to your question, because you had a second aspect you wanted to discuss,
Yes,
I believe.
it seems to me that it was not necessary for NATO to establish a cause and effect. In other words, the incitement was there, and before it had any effect, you bombed. I think NATO did this in Serbia, right, during the Balkan Wars in '99. So I'm just trying to establish the fact whether you can interpret that as possibly inciting an attack and can bomb before there is any effect of that hate speech, because this is a very key legal point. Thank you.
To be frank with you, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not fully engaged in the early stage of the targeting process. I would refer you essentially to the statement that was made on that night, during which the ground that was presented to us to conduct the attack was made public. This is as far as I could go.
Any more questions? It doesn't seem to be the case in Brussels, but let's please double check with Naples, because I don't want to close this press conference until I'm sure that there are no questions in Naples.
No questions from Naples.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thank you.